Hi, everyone, and welcome to Huddle in Place at the Nine-Sided Circle. We are on episode 47, and it is May 14th, 2020. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Nora Kyle, and currently I'm in Los Angeles. And you?
And I am the other one of your hosts, Mushtaq Ali, who is somewhere in the Bay Area.
With ruins.
With ruins. Everybody should have some ruins. I love the ruins.
Yeah. So, today we wanted to revisit kindness. This is something we talked about early on, but given that we're 2 months into this staying at home thing, it's good to remind ourselves how important kindness is.
Yes, because other people's assholiness is starting to wear thin.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And though you have not noticed it, your assholiness is starting to.
That goes for me too, by the way, guys. So.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah.
And this is the time where we need to dig deep and find that bit of kindness within ourselves that will allow us to interact with people in a way that will build bridges rather than forest fires, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, and volcano eruptions.
Almost all of which we're quite familiar here with, in California.
And they all suck.
Yeah.
Why would you want to ruin friendships?
It's not worth it.
No.
I mean, sometimes we do find ourselves in circumstances where we grow apart, we have a fundamental disagreement that cannot be bridged, but for the most part, those aren't the situations we find ourselves in. Sometimes we're driven more by ego and a reluctance to dig into the real stuff when we decide to end a friendship. And we're doing both ourselves and the other person a disservice in those circumstances.
Yep. And very importantly, kindness does not mean that you have to be a doormat to anybody. Mm-hmm. If somebody is being a jerk to you, you don't have to take it. It's how you refuse their jerkiness that makes it kind or unkind.
Yeah, I think this is especially true for challenges with relatives. Let's say you are huddling in place with your parents and you're their adult child and you're struggling with how to assert your individuality within a context in which old patterns are starting to blossom anew, shall we say. How do you deal with those circumstances? I mean, in those cases,
Or if you are hanging out with your parents or something and they happen to be of a political persuasion that is 180 degrees from yours,
mm-hmm.
How do you tell them that you disagree with them without pointing out that they're complete idiots? Because of course you're right and they're wrong.
Yep. Of course. Obviously. How do you do those things? I mean, this is where humility and kindness come in.
Yes.
And of course, if you have strong political values, certainly those are derived from values that you hold as very important to you. And at the same time, it can be challenging to realize often the people that we're disagreeing with are having the same experience about their own values. How do you reconcile that? At that point, you do have to dig deeper. You do have to utilize a willingness to see that other person as a full-fledged human being. And kindness comes into play there. Of course, ideally, they should be giving you the same sense of you being a whole human being. You're not always going to get that. But that doesn't mean that your kindness is a waste or unnecessary or invalid.
We could even say that your kindness is even more necessary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Find a way to tell somebody that they're an idiot without hurting their feelings.
Get creative. Yeah. What might that look like? Do you have anything that comes to mind as an example?
Well, there was a right-wing dude showed up on my page. Yeah, he friended me out of the martial arts community some time ago. We never really had an interaction. And he busts onto the page to disagree with something that I said. And of course, being as I have a whole lot of lefty friends, they were ready to pile on him
Mm-hmm.
and yell at him and call him names and all of this kind of stuff. And I went, wait a second. Let's be kind to each other. We can disagree without being uncivil. And he was like, well, damn, yeah. And after which we had constructive conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I changed his mind on anything in particular, and he didn't change my mind, but at least we could talk to each other in a civil manner and relate to each other. And he ended up saying, you know, we have more in common than we have in disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of the best possible outcome for that sort of thing.
It is. And
Yeah.
I
And all I
think
had to do was not be an asshole.
may we all strive for that. But I mean, I think people get frustrated because they feel like, okay, well now we're at a stalemate. You know, like,
Yeah.
okay, we agree to disagree, and it doesn't push things into a what would be considered a productive direction, let's say.
Yep. That's where you need to apply logic. So
Say more about that, yeah.
logic is the ability, in this case, I'm using it as the ability to listen to, understand, and dissect another person's argument. When I say argument, I don't mean like, you know, good, rotten SOB. I mean, an argument is a series of premises put out in support of a conclusion. That's an argument.
Right.
So somebody says something and I hear it, and I take that and I put it in logical frame. It's called putting it in standard form. So somebody says, yeah, Socrates lives forever, right? And this is a play off of one of the oldest of the whole logical things. And I go, wait, all men are mortal. And Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. So I can look at him and say, are you saying Socrates is not a man? And if they say, no, he's a man. And then I can say, but all men are mortal, right? And I can take the argument along those lines to create a more sound way to look at this. Oftentimes people don't realize when they go off on these logical fallacies or when their argument is unsound and invalid.
Yeah.
That's what we look for, validity and soundness.
Yeah, technical terms, yeah.
Yeah, and they are
Within
technical.
yeah.
Validity means that your argument fits into the logic, the framework of logic. Soundness is where, if you're doing deductive logic, which is kind of what we're talking about, soundness is when the premises follow the rules of logic and they all actually support the conclusion. Because we know in deductive logic, if the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this sense, we're not speaking of logic as this completely devoid of emotional content.
Yeah, that's Star Trek bullshit.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. And
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Spock did a horrible thing to logic with his role.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand it. He said things were unlogical when they weren't, in fact, illogical.
Yeah.
They were perfectly logical. He just couldn't organize them into standard form, which tells me that the writers of Star Trek were illogical.
Yeah, so kindness does not have to be devoid of logic, and logic does not have to be devoid of kindness.
As a matter of fact, we want them to be inseparable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anybody can make somebody look like a fool if they understand how to arrange things logically. Logic can be used as a weapon, as a bludgeon.
Right.
And it shouldn't be, because the first person you need to apply your logic and critical thinking to is yourself.
Always. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first question you ask is my argument valid and sound? If not, don't even say it. Rework it until it is.
Mm-hmm. And that's not a character assessment on you. It's just so like, okay, how can I?
Yeah, we all tend to do that. We are all subject to all of our biases,
Mm-hmm.
especially confirmation biases, of which there are a bunch.
Yeah.
And all of the logical fallacies. We can all do them.
Yep. And that's not to say the emotions don't matter. It's just that they're just one piece of a greater puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you want is to evoke positive emotions in the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want the person to listen to you because they're feeling good about how you're saying what you're saying, even if what you're saying disagrees with them.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly one way to be kind. I think where we get tripped up is when we, we lead with our reactivity and we receive with our reactivity.
Yep.
That's where we get into trouble.
Applying that old golden rule is very, very useful. If you can imagine how you would feel if somebody was treating you like you're treating them and you don't like it, consider not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's what I got for today.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great way to expand on things that we had talked about early in our talks. And
yeah, and we're probably going to be doing a lot of that, because not that we have run out of topics or anything. They don't realize what the pre-broadcast discussions look like. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
You got any ideas? Nope, I don't got any ideas.
Grab a comic book, open it up to a random page, put your finger down. We'll talk about that.
I mean, it could work. So.
It could work, yeah.
So that's what we have. We did not want to talk politics today.
No.
We're a little fatigued with that ourselves. So, yeah. We're just talking about stuff that's on our insides right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, take good care. It is Friday tomorrow. So
it is Friday, all day. All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.